Rocky D is never at a loss of words, and in this special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with him about Mother Emanuel, the Confederate flag, unity, the Charleston County School Board, and much, much more. Let's begin with the obvious. Donald Trump. You said, you said this on your Facebook page, quote, "The agenda was obvious within the first minute.
Right.
Attack Trump. Maximize Megan FaceTime. The Fox News, quote, debate was hardly a debate at all. Why go after Trump? The answer to that is obvious, too. Numbers, rating numbers. When the Donald spots off, people take notice. I'm curious, if it wasn't a debate, what was it in your mind?
It was a way for Fox News to remind everyone, well, there was information coming out. But it was, from the very beginning, they set the precedent. Watch what we can do. Okay. Fox News at this point was showing, at that day, was showing all the other networks who the big dog is. Yeah. Watch me do this. You realize that 31% or more of the debate was taken up by moderator time. Right. That never happens. I've moderated debates and forums and things like that before, and it's like refereeing a game. Yeah. You stay out of the way. People ask me, well, when do you know when you've done a good job as a referee in a hockey game? I say, when nobody even noticed I was there.
Right.
Okay? All right? I don't want to get in the middle of all this.
Right.
The people aren't paying to see me.
Right.
So, so what they did from the very beginning was go after Trump, and it became personal from the very beginning. Now, you know that Trump spouts off. Did you notice? Take another look at the videotape if you run it back, if you get the right angle. Chris Christie was all the way on the end.
Right. Okay?
I saw him fidget immediately when they went after Donald. It's the same thing that happened a few years back when they had the big debate here with Newt Gingrich in it. You remember when John, what's his name from CNN, went straight, not John McCain, John King, right, John King. He the first question he went after Newt was about his ex-wives. Remember that? And then he says, "Do you want to answer that question?" And Newt goes, "No." And the whole place erupted. And then Newt just levels his eyes at him. And if you've ever had Newt do that to you, when he leans in at you like this, he's serious. I've seen him do it. And he says, "I'm surprised that a debate of this caliber at a network as large as yours would start a debate on such an idiotic premise," or something. The place went nuts. Wow. And if Donald Trump would have done that, it might have been a little better. But we're all beginning to wonder where the blurring of not just Fox News, CNN, ABC, NBC, all the alphabet networks, PMSNBC, where the blurring of entertainment versus information is. You can watch the Megyn Kelly show and you'll learn something new. People get on there and talk. Right. But then what you'll also see on the Megyn Kelly show is a spectacular set of legs, spiked high heels, and perfect makeup. She's pretty. Yes. Me and you will never be that good looking, okay? That's never going to happen. So, and you may notice that all of the Fox News babes are exactly that. They're babes. There's one that's not so good looking, and even she's not bad looking, okay?
And who's that?
Greta. But she was first. She was there first. And even when she went there, for those who forget, she suddenly Botoxed her head, her entire head. I mean, her ears were pinned back. And she had blonde dyed hair when she first went from CNN over to Fox News Channel. So why are they going after the Donald on that day? To make numbers? Yeah. To try to get him to trip up and fall out? Sure. There are a lot of Republicans, and I don't know which party Megan's in, if she's a Republican or not. People think I am. I'm not. They just invite me everywhere, and I always have when they invite me to Republicans out somewhere, I have one question. Is there food? Feed me, I show up. I'm a bachelor, I don't cook.
Right.
Which is not a good excuse. But, there are Republicans in the establishment who not just are pushing for Jeb as the establishment character that they think has the biggest name and the best record or whatever. They are looking to get rid of Donald, the distraction, so quickly that they can't wait for him to do it on his own. If they would just be patient, I feel that Donald Trump he may back out. And I'm going to write an article later today, and you'll see it. And you'll see it here first, because I won't be done writing it before you get this up. Here's what I think will happen to Donald Trump. Think of what the president does. Yes. And Obama said it, Bush said it, Clinton once said it, and even with Clinton and his funny antics personally and all that, The president simply can't go anywhere and everywhere he wants to. He can't jump out of the car and walk down the street.
No, yes,
The Secret Service will say, "Where are you going, Mr.
Right.
President?"
Right.
You know, he can't tell them move, but he has to do that. Okay? And when he wants to go on a trip, the Secret Service can say, "No, it's not going to be then, it's going to be here, it's going to be there."
Right.
They have to take care of all this.
Right.
Can you imagine Donald Trump in that situation? Can you imagine Donald Trump sequestered in the living quarters of the White House, twiddling his thumbs going, "I shouldn't be here, I'm Donald Trump, I want to go somewhere," right?
Yeah.
This is what, I don't see him doing that.
Right, right.
The good points of Donald Trump being president would be this. He's an obvious CEO.
Right.
The president, Jimmy Carter, said one thing that made a lot of sense. And I do mean he said one thing that made a lot of sense. Okay? And this was it. He likened the president to being the hub of a wheel, like spokes on a bicycle wheel.
Right.
Everything comes to him.
Right.
Everything comes to the president. He said only the president gets the whole story. And I believe that's right. So that's what a CEO is. A CEO sits at the front of the table and all the spokes around, and then they meet out the jobs.
Right.
Okay? And anybody who's tried to become too proactive gets in big trouble as president. Obama. I'm going to do this. I got my pen, I got my phone. And the rest of the country's going, "So what?" And meanwhile, his people are going, "Hey, pen, phone." You know? Isn't that my job? Isn't that my job? Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you've got that. And being the president of the United States should be run like a giant business. The United States is a giant corporation. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, they're run by the corporations. Evil money, evil bad." Look, you know what corporations do? They hire lots of people.
Right.
Yeah, you want to see some evidence of corporate stuff that's good? Look at this suit. Look at this. Look at these glasses, that camera. All made by corporations who employ thousands of people, designers, promotion people, marketing, salespeople. I mean, corporations do good for the United States.
Sure.
The government of the United States is a business. Okay? And the head of the United States should be a person with business acumen. This is why Mitt Romney was so popular, even though this guy, Mitt, he's as dry as plain toast, no butter. Okay? He really is. And I looked at him, I said, "Oh, boring." While other people were worried about Mitt being a Mormon,
Right.
or, boring, and I was only thinking of one thing. The dude saved the Olympics. He ran businesses. His father used to run American Motors, which sold out to Chrysler.
Right.
Okay. The business of the president should be business first. Second thing the president has to do, which frightens people about Trump, is that you have to go talk to foreign leaders.
Yes, you do.
Now, the foreign leaders, they're not afraid of Barack Obama. He's too nice. Bush was too nice. But Obama and Bush were both, with foreign leaders, were kind of namby-pamby. You remember the time that guy threw the shoes at George Bush?
Right.
How did that guy get the second shot off? He got one shoe off and threw it. Okay. How did he stand there and get a second shoe out without being tackled? If I'd have been Bush, I'd have been running out there. I'd pop that guy right upside his head. Really, I would have. You don't throw things at me.
Right.
Because it's a good duck and weave, you see.
Right, yeah.
Can't get me.
Right, exactly.
I think Obama would have took one right to the forehead. Boink! And then, but yeah, so the Republican establishment is afraid of Donald Trump because he's irascible, brash, and he's rude. And we're in a new, I don't like some of it either. Okay. But this latest thing about talking about, did you see the article I wrote about redefining stuff? I'm sorry, but I listened to it 100 times. Okay, maybe 12. And I listened over and over and over, and there's a pause in there when he's talking about blood coming out of Megyn Kelly's eyes. Right. He pauses, and then he goes on, blood coming out of wherever, like that. He goes like that. Since when does the word wherever mean menstruation? Can we say that on Quintin close-ups? Since when does one symbol mean something else, or a statement or picture, just because you said so and screamed louder?
So in other words, you're saying they took it out of context.
Yeah, your name is Quintin, right?
Right.
I could stand out there with 25 people and scream, "His name is Fred! His name is Fred!" And if I keep repeating it, people will start calling you Fred.
Right.
And your name is Quintin.
Quintin.
Right. So that's, we're in the, well, look at the Black Lives Matter people. They're screaming and yelling, screaming and yelling. They screamed Bernie Sanders off the stage.
I remember that.
Why?
Yeah, this past weekend.
And where was the security?
Right.
They walked right up there. And there's little Bernie going, "Hey," they didn't know what to do. So we're at the point now where the screamers get what they want. And the screamers have been saying, this is our chance to get rid of Donald Trump. Okay? So now I'm going to make a prediction on your show. Ready?
Please.
Screamers, listen to me. Okay? Donald Trump has done some good things, and he has raised issues in his campaign that every one of the other candidates would like to have said, but they won't. Newt Gingrich was much better at it with John King, because I think Newt Gingrich can be diplomatic.
Sure.
When he told him, I can't believe he waited. Trump doesn't wait. It's ready, fire, aim. Ready, bang. You know, it's like, freeze.
Right.
No. Trump shoots back immediately, and he's known for that. Okay? He's known for that. Trust me when I tell you this. Here's what will happen to Trump. Okay? He will decide one day, I don't need this. What he's doing right now that's angering the older established Republican Party people and bringing in the younger conservatives and the people sitting the fence, bringing them in, what he's doing is working. There are more people that liked what he did than didn't like what he did. And Trump, being the mega businessman that he is, he will always do what's going to work. If it didn't work, he'd stop doing it. You understand? Trump is not a loser. Or as he would put it, I'm not a loser. And he would get in your face with it, not a loser, like you. Yeah. See? He'll do stuff like that. He'll stop doing that and would stop doing it if it makes him slip into polls and it doesn't work. If he slips back into the polls to the point where he can't get ahead, he'll drop out. Donald Trump runs businesses like that. Any successful businessman does. If you're in a hole to the point where you can't make a profit, you go in and you tell the people this isn't working. Right. Or you sell it off to somebody who thinks they can.
Sure.
So, and you can't sell the presidency off. So they say. But that's it. And I also have more faith. I have good faith in Trump being able to do one thing. Appoint really good people to all the cabinet positions. Because let's face it, who knows more people than Donald Trump?
Right.
Nobody. He's done head-to-head businesses with foreign leaders too.
Sure, he has.
Yeah, you were going to ask me something?
Someone else on that stage with Trump was Ted Cruz, and of course he was here in Charleston on Friday at Liberty Tap Room.
Yep, I saw him.
And you said something interesting on your Facebook page. Quote, dude draws a crowd. Waitress tells me 300 people here, and nobody buys anything.
Yeah,
300 people there tells you what?
Well, first of all, at this point, right after the debate, the candidates become rock stars, which is how you end up with a Donald Trump and a Rand Paul to begin with. Okay?
Carly Fiorina,
Carly Fiorina really rocked the show.
Right.
She should have been she should have been at the big dinner, not at the kids' table. Okay, she should have been, and I guess now Trump and Fiorina are getting into it.
Right.
Why? Why did Trump say something? Think this. Why did Trump say something about Carly Fiorina when before he has said very little, if anything?
Right.
Well, all of a sudden she's got 8 points, right?
She's a threat to him.
Yeah, all of a sudden she's in the game now. He's going to go. It's like football. It's like dodgeball. Pick off the people in front of you. Okay, that's what he's doing. But Ted Cruz, there was about 300 people there. It was crowded. Liberty Tree Tavern is not. Taproom, Liberty Taproom, is not as big enough to do this, but it has lots of levels on it. Okay. I talked to Mark Sanford outside the door briefly. Talked to Larry Kabrowski outside the door briefly. And they said, I said, well, I guess I'm in the way here. I guess I'll move. So I went around taking pictures. I saw Ted, and Ted Cruz actually recognized me from a meeting we had downtown, a long time ago, because I think he liked a little mention to about my rectum.
Right, yes.
And I said, yeah. He's a nice guy. He's a comer because he's a populist too. He's Donald Trump, but he's more polite. Okay. And I don't know what Trump and Cruz may have against each other, but if Cruz really comes on big, Trump will say something about him too. Sure. Now, will it be polite? I don't know. Trump is never polite. People that work for him can tell you that. He's not Leona Helmsley, but who is? Michael Jackson tried to look like Leona Helmsley. Look what that did.
Okay. The Charleston County School Board.
Oh my God!
We're sitting right across the street from it.
I know. Can you feel the vibe? It's like you can hear the theme song from here. Bum, bum, ba-da, dun, da-da, dun, da-da. Look at them all going in there, coming and pulling in there, Rolls Royces, walking in. The former. Well, we have a new school superintendent now.
Did you read the post away?
Yeah, I invited the other school superintendent. I'm trying to remember her name right now. One that just left.
Dr. McGinley.
McGinley. I always want to call him McInerney because I know somebody by that name.
Okay.
McGinley. I invited her on my show 1,000 times. It was always, the door's open. Come on in. Right. Called up the guy that she hired to read. He's gone now. He has a different job. He got paid $90,000 or $104,000 a year or something like that just to read her email. I was talking to him River Dog Stadium at the Joe, watching a River Dogs game. I said, when is your boss going to come on? He goes, come on, man, she's not. Because she knows you're going to ask the 3 questions she doesn't want asked. You know, one of which is, let's explain these 3 circles of administration in the Charleston County School District. And this is why things are screwed up. You got one circle over here, that's the sisterhood. You know, the heads like that, everybody screaming, yelling, you know, that kind of thing. Then you got the sisters who like other sistershood. That's there. And then over here you got everybody else who's supposed to be afraid of one or the other groups at the time. Been to a school board meeting that got raucous? Ever been to one?
I've been to several of them, going back to 1988, 99.
For those who don't know, most school board meetings are boring.
They are.
It's like county council meetings. It's about budgets and money.
That's all.
It's boring because, you know, the school district, Charleston County School District is loaded. They're fat with money.
Right.
Okay. And those who don't know this, I don't know what it is now, but the superintendent of the Charleston County School District gets a car and a car allowance.
Right.
You get $250,000 a year and you get a car allowance. You get $250,000 a year, go buy a car. You know, you can't afford the gas. There's a lot of money at stake.
Right.
And there's a lot of, not so much corruption, which there is, but there's more cliques. You know, you get into a clique. The teachers are all afraid of their own job. Don't make any waves. Something bad might happen. And when you're in these board meetings, you're supposed to sit down, be quiet, and let everybody talk. Except up to the right where the amen corner is. They can hop out of their chairs anytime they want and go, yeah, and roll their eyes. I remember Nancy Cook being on the, I remember Nancy, whatever happened to Nancy?
Right.
Nancy, are you still out free or are you in jail? On the Quintin close-up show. Call me, Nancy. I still got your number. She was funny. We had a lot of fun going on. Yeah, but she would do this. I told her to stop doing this. When you're on the board and people are looking at you, and Rand Paul did this, don't roll your eyes. Everybody's looking at you.
Oh, yeah.
Roll your eyes is schoolyard punk stuff. Okay? Don't do it. Okay? Let the people talk, even though you don't agree with them.
Right.
I know they once booted Henry Copeland out of the meetings. You know about that?
Right.
Well, if they're going to boot him out, what about the lady with the fancy hat and she got, you know, her grandkids in school? She's going to stand up or going to sit there and make a fuss during the meeting and nobody says anything. I've seen this, I'm scratching my head. And at the time I asked Elizabeth Kandrek, who was on the board, and she now moved out of town too.
Right.
Yeah, she did service. It almost killed her. I asked her, so why do they allow that? She goes, nobody says anything.
Speaking of which, you said this on July 28th. Quote, why does the Charleston County School Board even listen to the NAA colored people? They're a racist group, hell-bent on causing and furthering discontent. They do not represent most black people and are a racist organization. Their name says it all.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, when you talk about listening, what...
They have a right to go and speak there.
Sure. But I'm wondering, what does this content have the NAACP caused thus far?
Well, the NAACP has jumped out of the shadows, and we'll probably be talking about the murder of our neighbors that happened down the street.
Right.
We are right next to Emanuel and me. We're right next door to them, right here, where I'm sitting. I mean, I could, if we were in the wide open, I could hit it with a paper airplane from here. But the NAACP, I've always had a problem with their name. The newspaper calls them NAACP because they don't want to say National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Now, me and you are under the age of 100. Who under the age of 100 calls black people colored people? I mean, I have not heard it, okay? I've seen it in old manuscripts and stuff like that. And of course, there are, you know, articles and stuff with such thing. But I tested the, by the way, that print news, that was a comment from the Post-Courier, right? Do you know they took it down?
That's what you said on Facebook.
They took it down because they don't want to say it. I was in a meeting one time where the NAACP was mad at me because they kept calling them the National Association of Always Complaining People. Okay, so they come in and they're mad at me, and they think they're going to run roughshod over my general manager. And so I turned to the general manager and I said, look, man, I said, I'll tell you what, call up the CEO, tell him you got colored people in the room with you. Go ahead. Nobody uses these terms. Okay, nobody says these things. So why have that organization? And do you belong to the NAACP?
I'm not a member. I'm just a journalist.
That's why. You won't find young people who join these old groups, the NAACP, and all that kind of thing. You won't find them. Why? They're outdated. And let's face it, what have they done for you? Since 1954, Brown versus the Board of Education, I don't know much of anything the NAACP has really done for anybody. Black people don't need to be held by the hand. You know what the biggest slap in the face, especially a young black guy like you know what your biggest slap in the face is? Some squeaky pencil neck white liberal patting you on the head, telling you, don't worry, you can't make it without me, but I'll help. Okay? What an insult. What a colossal insult that is. And the NAACP does kind of the same thing. They run around, they make, crazy claims, but they're not even the biggest problem these days.
What is?
The National Action Network, or as I call them, the Nutty Agitator Network. These guys have been sitting in the, and I know the guy who runs it, because he and I have gone around too. He sent phony documents to me one time when I worked at WTMA, which used to be a radio station, and now I guess they're a racquetball court. I don't know what they're doing in there. This guy and his friends have been sitting around lurking in the shadows forever, waiting for something bad to happen so they could leap out in front of a microphone. And I've been watching this for over 10 years, okay? There is, and so what happens? Well, we get one fruitcake that goes in there and murders 9 of our neighbors, not more than 100 yards away from here,
right.
Okay? And what do? They jump out in front. Suddenly, for an evening or so, it's all white people's fault. It's all the Confederate flag fault, and all this stuff. And then they run around, and I understand the hand-holding. I understand singing Kumbaya for a day or two. But you know what? After things settle down a little bit, you got to sit back and take a look about what is this really all about. Sure. They missed the point. It wasn't about Confederate flags.
So, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to know this, because Arthur Ravenel told the Postal Courier that he felt like Governor Haley took the flag down too soon. Do you agree? Yeah, she knee-jerk reaction, and the reason is she wants to be considered a vice presidential candidate. And another one is, and then of course a lot of the people who are supporting the flag, which is crazy, because where did this support the flag thing come from? Okay, I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. They come out and they said, no, Nikki's just doing it to get reelected. She can't get reelected. She's done her.
I mean, get the big pole with the flag off the back of your pickup and go to work. Don't worry. They're not putting the flag back up. In my opinion, the flag was in a place that wasn't so bad. It was right next to a soldier's monument. You always see flags by soldiers and monuments. I'm surprised as you're facing the soldier's monument to the right-hand side.
Main and Gervais.
Right, yeah, and you go around the corner, and there's the monument to all the other service branches. Sure. There could be flags there, too. There could be a Marine flag. That'd be kind of cool, but you'd have to maintain them. But the people that surrounded that flag and were yelling to yank it down, it was a knee-jerk reaction to something that made no difference. The real problem here was not Confederate flags. Okay. I mean, this guy was also wearing a Gold's Gym t-shirt. Were people yelling to close the doors of Gold's Gym? This guy also wore Timberline shoes. He was crazy. That's the real story. When they busted him, he had Suboxone in his car. You know what Suboxone is?
No.
Oh my God, they give it to catatonic people. All right, I tell you what. Take 2 OxyContins, drink about 4 shots of Jack, and then take an Adderall. That's what I was told by a psychiatrist. I said,
probably dead.
I said, where do you get Suboxone? He goes, I don't give it to anybody. So he had Suboxone on him. He's been known to do drugs. His friends all thought he was off kilter, but he was a little skinny twerp. What's he going to do? And remember, when he went into the church right next to us here, he sat there for an hour. You know what he was doing? He was thinking about it.
Jesus.
He was thinking about it. So in other words, he went to a place where you would go to get help. And Clementa Pinckney, who had been on my show a dozen times or more, and never mentioned Confederate flags. Right. Okay, he always talked about schools.
That's all.
We're across the street from the school board.
Oh, yeah.
He mentioned schools, busing, and all that kind of stuff, and kids and education. That's mainly what Clementa Pinckney talked about, and religion, that I remember. The real story here is, oh, by the way, I was trying to text Clementi that night.
You told me that. Talk to me more about that.
I just sat on the edge of my couch looking at the TV going, no way, man. It's hard to believe. Life is fleeting, and it's hard to believe when you could be talking to somebody, and in a minute, they're gone. They're just gone. Now, from what I've heard, and not much has come out, And there's a reason why the judge has put a gag order on some of this stuff. Because you're going to find out some stuff about this guy and his past that some people don't want you to know. Like his mother. Friends of friends of friends, and I can't verify this.
Sure.
So this is rumor, okay? Unsubstantiated. On the Quintin Cossa Show. They're saying that his mother was attacked by gangs of thugs. And left for dead or something like that. I can't verify that, but it might come out. And if so, you could just grab this piece of the clip and put it out there because we said it first. And that was part of what he was doing, was revenge on people he, I guess, considered had hurt his mother. Wow. Now, that may be complete snot. It may never come out. I don't know. But here's the real story of Dylan Roof. And I know some people think it's like he whose name will not be mentioned. Well, not to me. To me, he's just a guy. Dylan Roof, the real story with him is, how many times when you're walking down a busy street like Calhoun here, right, how many times do you walk by a person who's just nuts out of their head and has bad intent?
Right.
And it's just, anything could rock him off.
Right.
He went into that church. Did he plan to go in there? Probably, because it's the most famous black church in town.
He did research from what I understand.
We all know what everybody knows what Mother Emanuel is. Yeah. If you live in Charleston for 1 week, you know about it. Right. So, especially now. But he went in there, and remember, he didn't walk in and start blasting. No. He went in and sat down for an hour. And apparently, Clemente Pinckney came in and sat down with him. Right. And that's why Clemente Pinckney was shot first. Jesus. And then the kid apparently got up. He's an adult, and he's a punk. Got up. Who knows what? You got to be filled with drugs to be doing this stuff.
Hey, why would you do that to innocent people of God?
Dig this. If you're going to shoot people, like you have these gangster thugs and people shooting each other in bar fights and whatnot, happens. Who shoots old people and little kids? Right. Okay? Nobody shoots old people and little kids except tyrants and lunatics. Right. And often it's the same thing. Yeah. So the real story with Dylan Roof is not, was he a racist? Did he have a Confederate flag? Because he also owned a Hyundai car too, right? Going to ban those too? I'm sure he ate at McDonald's. No more of that. The real story is this guy's brain was fried. Yeah. And how many people are walking around out there that are fried up like that? I see them all. We just saw it over the weekend in Houston. Right. Guy shot, killed 8 people, 6 of them children.
Yeah, sad.
And he was wearing a Batman suit. Did you see that?
I didn't see that one.
Ban Batman! No more Batman! Batman causes murder! Batman is a violent comic strip, which is an idiotic thing to say. So all the people, you flag yankers, and you people want to blame an object or a symbol for something, you're dead wrong. Pulling down the flag the way it was done, that's what Arthur meant. Okay, Cousin Arthur meant. Right. Of course, Cousin Arthur also is pretty old at this point.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I mean, he used to babysit Robert E. Lee. True. Here's the point, okay? You just can't take symbols and change their meaning for your own political gain. Nothing good happens from it, okay? Wherever does not mean menstruation. Confederate symbols don't mean racism. There have been people who have taken symbols and misused them. You go to church, right?
Yes, I do.
Emmanuel has a big white cross on the top.
Absolutely.
Guess who uses the white cross as their symbol? The Ku Klux Klan. They don't own it. Every Klan member, I don't care if they're flying a pirate flag or whatever, they have right here, they'll have the white Christian cross. That's their symbol. Not the Confederate flag, not the American flag. They have their own symbol. Okay. Klan. Okay. All right? Not the Nazi symbol, which, by the way, did you see what I put up on my Facebook lately?
I didn't see that this morning.
It's weird, isn't it?
It is.
The Nazi symbol, the swastika, used to be an old good luck symbol going way back to Buddhism, which shows you one thing. Tyrants like Adolf Hitler, they're not very creative. They can't even invent their own symbol. They don't have to steal somebody else's. Okay. So when you have groups like that, they steal other people's symbols. Why? Because if it bothers somebody, then they'll do it again. If it bothers them, they'll do it again. Dragging down the Confederate flag the way it was done did nothing but bring wackos out of the woodwork and people who normally would stay quiet out to argue. And I'd like to know one thing, and I asked this question on my show long before Sheriff Leon up in Richland County said this. I wanted to know this. I know you can't deny the Ku Klux Klan, all 6 of them. I mean, they'd have their meetings in a phone booth. There's only one phone booth in the whole state.
That's crazy.
I know there's none of them. All these people from out of town. You can't deny them a permit to have a rally with a reasonable length of time, and they can bring whatever symbol they want as long as it's not obscene. Okay, you can do that. You can't set things on fire, that kind of thing. There's rules for that.
Right.
And you can't deny the Black Panthers a permit either to come out there and do what they want.
They have their right too.
Even though they should have got arrested in Marion Square down there for setting a flag on fire. Why? Because they set the flag on fire? No, I'm sure it belonged to them. Okay? Because they started a fire in the park. You don't start a fire in the park under a tree.
Right, city park at that.
Exactly. You're lucky nobody hurt. I'd like to know who was it in the government that granted a permit for them to have rallies on the same day at the same place. That's what I would like to know. That's what I would like to know. Okay? Nobody's answered that question. Did we just get room service? Those questions have to be answered. Here's what should have been done, in my opinion. I tried getting a hold of Haley's people, but they went radio silent. They're not going to talk to talk radio guys, because I might ask them a question or say something poignant that a television monkey won't say. And I don't mean cable TV guys. I mean our local TV guys. By the way, channels 2, 4, and 5. Are you watching this guy? Why do you hire people that can't do snot when he's right here? These television knuckleheads get out there and do 8-second sound bites and edit them highly down. And they really get permission for what they're going to say. Okay? And what they put up. And then they're highly edited down. Haley and all those guys and all the people who signed on for taking the flag down will not come on the show because they didn't want to answer for it. Here's what should have been done in my opinion. See what you think of this. Dylan Roof killed 9 people. He did. He was a racist in his own mind, but more than anything else, he was just crazy. He's hopped up on nuts. Who knows what he wants? Because the thoughts he had were just way out. Okay, way out there. I don't know if he wrote that manifesto, had help or what, but it was published from an Australian site to a Russian website. Now, how that all happens, I don't know. But here's what should have been done with a guy like that. Okay? The French had a word for it. It's called the oubliette. Okay? In France, they would take somebody who was a problem to the king once upon a time. They would take him out in an area, a remote area, or probably on castle grounds or under the castle, dig a hole down about 15, 20 feet. And it would be barely 6 feet wide. And then they put a sewer grate kind of thing over the top. And then they just leave you there. No one comes and visits you. No one comes to see you. Your families come to the castle. Where's Uncle George? Who?
George who, yeah.
He doesn't exist anymore. So I know that's extreme and it's Middle Earth kind of thing. But
Right.
Yeah, right, medieval. But here's what we should have done. We should have all got together and decided, you know what? You splinter groups can blame this on a Confederate flag if you want to. But that's not it. If we go over there and make a big stink, it gets worse, which it did. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get together and sing our kumbaya songs, hold hands, and be brotherhood and all that. And we're going to, from this point on, other than legally, we're going to ignore this guy do what he did. Because that's not what people do. Right. That's not a good representation of any person anywhere.
No, not at all.
Okay? He sure didn't represent any group.
No.
And we should have made him persona non grata. Put him in the oubliette. Forget him.
There you go.
When his trial time comes up, because what we did as a society, and I tried to fight against this, we did, and our government did this, we did exactly what this punk wanted us to do. Start fighting, everybody argues, let's have demonstrations, start things on fire, fist fights, people getting attacked. This is just what he wanted.
But it didn't happen here. We had unity here.
And not only that, it didn't happen with people from here.
That's right.
They came from, remember the girl that climbed up the pole?
Oh, yeah.
She's from North Carolina.
What
are you doing here, sister? And most of the people who were surrounding that area of the State House grounds,
right,
they had never seen the flag before that.
You told me that.
Yeah, they had never seen it. And for those who don't know, the Confederate battle flag that was on the State House grounds, there's 2 things about it. First of all, you could barely see it. You had to be in the right position to see it. 80% of the grounds you stand on, you can't see it.
No, you couldn't see it.
You have to stand right. And if you stand directly in front of the monument and go back about 40 feet, you can't see it again.
No, you can't.
Because it's behind there, unless it's windy.
Yeah.
That's one thing you got to know. The other thing is, there are some people in the Sons of Confederate Veterans, which is the group and the Daughters of the Confederacy, who pay to have these things put up, because they are the legitimate history group, and that's who the governor should have gone to. Okay, say, what are you on? They would have probably come right up and say, you know what? Why don't we put different flags up there? Put the Charleston Brigade flag up there. Put the American flag up there for a week. Put the first, second, or third national flag up there. Put the secession flag up there. Ever seen one?
Never.
It's pinned to my jacket.
Now I see it. Yeah.
Secession. Okay? You know, that's
The more
it.
you know.
Well, yeah, they could have put a bunch of different things up there with little explanations underneath. But to make a big deal out of it the way we did, and I ask you, has the killing and the murder and violence stopped? It's gotten worse. You know, it's gotten worse. This guy who killed 8 people, 6 of them children, or under the age of 18, in Texas.
Texas, Houston.
Yeah. Texas's flag looks like a Confederate flag. It looks like the first national flag, like Georgia. There was no flags involved. There was no organizations. Like this guy murdered 8 people. Okay? What's he on? Don't be surprised you don't find Suboxone in his stuff too. The bottom line is we reacted too quickly wrongly. Now, do we ignore the whole issue of this guy going in and shooting? No. Do you ignore racism in the country? No, you take it on single case by single case. The day this happened, the night it happened,
Right.
I called up a guy I know that runs a division of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Usually when he answers the phone, if he looks at it and sees it's me, he goes, "Hi, Rocky," right? Or he'll say, "Hello." He picks up the phone and here's the first thing he says. "We have no idea who this guy is." And I said, "I didn't think you did."
Right.
He goes, "We don't let people like that in the group. You know that?" And I said, "Yeah, I know that."
Wow.
So here we are at a pass now where, and since that time, the media has gone crazy trying to redefine pictures, symbols, words, and everything for emotional effect. And these splinter groups that come out are doing so just to take advantage of us. Remember, in my opinion, the National Action Network, I don't like it, and I'll tell you why. They were willing to walk through the blood of our neighbors just to get something political that they wanted and to become important. They're not doing good things. Recently, they stood in front of City Hall, North Charleston City Hall, and demanded that the police department be disbanded. Did you see that?
I saw that, yeah.
I called up my Mayor Summey. He didn't answer me. So there you go, Mayor. I told you they would do this. I told you they would do this. These guys are not a legitimate group supported by a majority of black folks who work for a living and take care of their families. Okay? Who are these people to stand out with signs every day? I mean, who can afford to take, Tuesday afternoon at 11:30 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon and stand there all day with a sign? Who does that? Somebody who has time on their hands. Yeah. So, I don't know.
We're out of time here now.
How can we be out of time? I could talk forever.
I know you could. We just have room service too.
And channels 2, 4, and 5? What are you doing? I see people that can't even pronounce the names of cities and streets on your TV broadcast, on your news. Quintin lives right here. So do I, but that's another story.
I just like doing interviews. That's what I want to do for life. But Rocky D, thank you so much for your
Sure
time.
enough, man.